I found it buried under a thick layer of dust in the attic of an old rental house. It was a radio, but not like any I'd ever seen before. It was old, impossibly heavy, and there was no brand name anywhere on it. The strangest thing, though, was that it felt warm to the touch, even though it wasn't plugged into anything. I figured it was just some weird antique, so I brought it downstairs and set it on my nightstand. It looked kind of cool, in a creepy sort of way. That night, something woke me up. My eyes flickered open, and I saw the time on my phone, 2:17 a.m. Exactly. Then I heard it. A low, crackling static filled the room. It was coming from the radio. The aisle wasn't lit up. The power cord was still coiled up beside it, but it was on. The static grew louder for a moment, then softened, and through it, I heard the sound of slow, deliberate breathing. Inhale, exhale. Right next to my bed. My heart pounded in my chest. I scrambled out of bed, grabbed the plug, and jammed it into the wall socket, thinking maybe it had some kind of weird battery. Nothing. Then I yanked it out. The sound didn't stop. Then, a voice had whispered my name perfectly clear, as if someone was standing right behind me. I froze. Every muscle in my body tensed. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The voice began to describe my room. It spoke in a low, raspy whisper, detailing everything with chilling accuracy. It mentioned the small crack running down the corner of my mirror. It described the worn-out armchair I'd thrown my jacket over. And then it said, I see the old scar on your left arm, the one from when you were a child. My blood ran cold. How could it know that? Panic took over. I lunged for the radio, ripped it off the table, and threw it with all my strength against the wall. There was a loud crack, a crunch of plastic and metal, and then silence. The breathing stopped. The whispering was gone. The house was completely quiet. Shaking, I crawled back into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin, and eventually, exhaustion took over. The next morning, I woke up feeling groggy, thinking it was all a nightmare. Then I looked at my nightstand. The radio was back. It was sitting there, perfectly intact, without a single scratch or dent. It looked just as it had when I first found it. And it was on. But this time, it wasn't static or whispering. This time, it was playing a recording. It was my own voice. I heard myself mumbling and turning in my sleep. Then, I heard myself whisper things. Terrible things. Things I had no memory of ever thinking, let alone saying. The voice on the recording was mine, but the words felt alien, dark, and twisted. That night, I was too terrified to sleep. I just sat on my bed, staring at the silent radio. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the static returned, followed by the voice, "Don't leave," it whispered. "You're not allowed to leave." I didn't listen. I jumped up and ran for the front door, desperate to get out of the house. I grabbed the doorknob and turned. It wouldn't budge. I pulled. I twisted. I threw my shoulder against it, but it was like it was sealed shut. From the bedroom behind me, I heard a sound that made my skin crawl. The radio was laughing, a soft, dry, rattling chuckle. Every night after that, the voice grew stronger, more confident. It started predicting things. Small things at first. The lights in the hallway will flicker in 3, 2, 1. And they would, "Your phone is about to die." I'd look down, and the screen would go black. It was toying with me, showing me how powerless I was. I was a prisoner in my own home, with a haunted radio as my warden. I tried everything. I boarded up the windows, but the voice just laughed. I stopped sleeping, but the exhaustion was making me hallucinate. On the 7th night, the radio's tone changed. There was no more taunting, no more games. 2. The static started, louder than ever before, a deafening roar that filled my head. "It's time," the voice boomed, no longer a whisper. "Time to switch places." The static grew into an unbearable shriek. The room started to spin, my vision tunneled, and everything went dark. I woke up to the sound of screaming. My own screams, but they were coming from outside me. I was trapped, disoriented, surrounded by a strange, humming darkness. I could see the room, my room, but it was like looking through a distorted lens. And I saw myself, my body, standing by the nightstand. But the eyes were wrong. They were cold, ancient, and filled with a triumphant glee. Someone else was in my body now. Someone else was living my life. And I was inside the radio. From here, I can hear everything. I can see everything. The radio is still there, on the table, waiting. Waiting for the next person to find it, to get curious, to plug it in. Waiting for the next listener. If the story scared you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true horror stories.